When the roar of a stadium dies down, what's left? For the man they called the King of Pop, it was often just the echo of his own loneliness. Michael Jackson was a walking paradox, a figure of immense public adoration who privately confessed, "I'm one of the loneliest people on this earth. I cry sometimes because it hurts." His life was a masterpiece of genius, but under the sparkly glove and impossible dance moves, he was fighting a silent, lifelong war with his demons. His journey wasn't just about changing music forever. It was a desperate and often tragic search for the kind of peace he gave to millions, but could rarely find for himself. Offstage, a battle was raging, one that started with a traumatic childhood and was fanned by the isolating flames of fame. Today, we're not just looking at the icon, we're looking at the man. We're uncovering the 10 most powerful lessons from his struggle to offer a new, more human look at the man behind the music. Lesson 1. Childhood trauma can shape, but never define, a life. You can't tell Michael Jackson's story without starting in a small house in Gary, Indiana, where a musical dynasty was built on fear and discipline. From a young age, Michael and his brothers weren't just kids, they were the building blocks of a dream. And the architect of that dream, their father, Joseph Jackson, ruled with an iron fist. Michael later said in interviews and in his autobiography, Moonwalk, that his father physically and emotionally abused him and his siblings during their brutal rehearsals. He remembered his father sitting in a chair with a belt, ready to lash out for any misstep or wrong note. If you messed up, you got hit. A simple, chilling summary of a childhood where performance and pain were tangled together. He spoke of a deep-seated terror that would make him physically sick just seeing his father. This wasn't just strict parenting, it was the systematic theft of a childhood. While other kids were having sleepovers, Michael's world was a blur of club dates, sometimes performing at 3 in the morning after burlesque shows. But this is where the first, and maybe the most important lesson of his life takes shape. Trauma can leave a deep wound, but it doesn't have to write the ending. Instead of being swallowed by the darkness of his past, Michael found a way to transform his pain into a once-in-a-generation talent. The stage became his sanctuary, a place where he could escape the fear and find the love he so desperately wanted. He poured every bit of his stolen childhood into his art. That deep well of pain also created a deep well of empathy, especially for children. His famous desire to give other kids the childhood he never had wasn't just a line. It was the driving mission of his adult life. The creation of Neverland Ranch, a fantasy world with amusement park rides and candy, was the ultimate expression of this, a place built to reclaim the joy that had been beaten out of him. The lesson here is powerful. Where we come from can cast a long shadow, but it doesn't have the power to put out our light. By channeling pain into purpose, we can build a life that isn't a memorial to the damage, but a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Lesson 2. Fame can isolate, but connection is a lifeline. Imagine being the most famous person on earth, a world where every face might hold a camera, every handshake might become a headline, and every moment in public is a performance. That was Michael Jackson's reality from his earliest years. While success brought him worldwide adoration, it also built a fortress of loneliness around him. He once said, "Success definitely brings on loneliness. People think you're lucky, that you have everything, but that's not the point. One hungers for the basic stuff." This hunger for real, unguarded human connection became a defining struggle of his life. He felt alienated by his own celebrity, a world where people saw a star instead of a next-door neighbor. This crushing isolation led him to create worlds of his own. He famously filled his room with mannequins, explaining that he was surrounding himself with the friends I never had, a break-hearted confession of his solitude. And that's where his second big life lesson comes in. No amount of applause can replace our basic human need for real connection. Michael knew this ache all too well. He fought his isolation by trying to create spaces where genuine friendship was possible. Neverland Ranch wasn't just some rich guy's playground. It was a sanctuary designed to create the kind of joy and friendship he couldn't find in the outside world. He sought that connection in his incredible humanitarian work, visiting orphanages and hospitals on every stop of his world tours, not for the cameras, but for simple human moments of comfort. He also found deep comfort in his family, especially the unwavering love of his mother Catherine, and later in being a father to his own children. He fiercely protected them from the spotlight that had consumed him, hoping to give them the one thing fame could never buy: a normal life. His struggle reveals a universal truth. You can achieve every goal and earn all the awards, but if you're disconnected from others, you'll feel empty. Real happiness isn't in the roar of the crowd, but in the quiet, trusting moments we share with each other. Lesson 3. Addiction is a disease, not a moral failing. January 27, 1984. During the filming of a huge Pepsi commercial, a pyrotechnic effect went horribly wrong. In what he later called stupidity, pure and simple, sparks from an explosion set his hair and scalp on fire in front of 3,000 people. Michael Jackson suffered devastating second and third-degree burns. This moment, a flash of fire and agony, would change his life forever. The physical pain was unbelievable, requiring multiple surgeries to treat the deep burns. But it was the chronic, unrelenting pain that followed, which opened the door to a different kind of hell: addiction. To manage the agony, he was prescribed powerful painkillers, and what started as a medical necessity slowly became a dangerous dependency. This private battle was made worse by periods of intense emotional distress, especially the weight of the public allegations made against him in 1993. During the Dangerous World Tour in November 1993, the struggle became too much to hide. In an audio statement, he made the brave choice to publicly admit his addiction. He said, "I became increasingly more dependent on the painkillers to get me through the days of the tour. It is time for me to acknowledge my need for treatment in order to regain my health." In a statement, he specifically thanked his friend Elizabeth Taylor for her support, showing just how vital a compassionate support system is. His story offers a crucial lesson about addiction. It isn't a sign of weakness or a moral failing. It's a complex disease, often born from real pain, both physical and emotional. Michael's willingness to get help, even at the peak of his fame and under the brightest, most judgmental spotlight imaginable, was an act of incredible courage. It's a powerful reminder that the first step to recovery is admitting there's a problem, and that facing this battle requires support, honesty, and a real commitment to the hard work of healing. Lesson 4. Public scrutiny can be crushing, but integrity is your anchor. Few people in history have ever been under the kind of relentless and often vicious public microscope that Michael Jackson was. From the mid-80s on, his life was turned into a global media feeding frenzy. His changing appearance, which he explained was due to skin disorder vitiligo, puberty, diet, and a few plastic surgeries, was picked apart with cruel speculation. The media nickname Wacko Jacko was a source of deep pain for him. "It's not nice," he said, a simple but heartbreaking plea for the humanity he was often denied. This intense scrutiny hit a terrifying peak with the child molestation allegations in 1993 and again in 2005. These accusations threw his life, career, and reputation into a whirlwind of legal battles and public condemnation. The 1993 case ended with an out-of-court settlement. It's crucial to know that this settlement, reported to be around $15 to $20 million, was not an admission of guilt. His legal team argued it was a practical move to end the media circus and avoid a long, drawn-out trial. The whole ordeal was devastating. Then in 2005, he faced a full criminal trial with a new set of charges. The world watched as his life was dissected in court. After a grueling 5-month trial, he was acquitted on all 10 counts against him. Despite the enormous personal cost, Michael maintained his innocence through it all. He stood firm in his own truth, stating plainly, "I am not guilty of these allegations." His journey through these firestorms teaches a harsh lesson on integrity. In an age of trial by media, holding on to your own values is a massive challenge. Michael's story shows the crushing power of public scorn, but it also shows how important it is to keep your integrity when the world seems determined to tear you down. Lesson 5. Financial illiteracy can cripple anyone. It seems impossible that the man who generated billions of dollars and sold more records than almost anyone could end up in financial trouble. And yet, according to court documents and financial experts, Michael Jackson's finances were often a complete mess. His spending was legendary, an extension of the fantasy world he tried to build for himself. Just maintaining Neverland Ranch cost an estimated $10 million a year. He spent fortunes on art, antiques, and lavish gifts, often without a clear budget or financial plan. This, combined with high-interest loans, created a perfect storm. By the time he died in 2009, his financial situation was grim. Court testimony later confirmed he had racked up debts between $400 and $500 million. Let's be clear about where this information comes from.
During the 2013 wrongful death lawsuit brought by the Jackson family against concert promoter AEG Live, a forensic accountant named William Ackerman testified that Jackson had massive debts and that his single biggest expense was $30 million in annual interest payments. This trial, which dug into the details of his planned This Is It comeback tour, exposed just how dire his financial stress was. His life serves as a huge cautionary tale. It doesn't matter how much money you make, if you don't understand how to manage it, you can lose everything. The lesson is simple and universal. Financial health isn't about what you earn, it's about what you manage. It's a sobering reminder that planning, accountability, and getting good financial advice are essential for everyone, from the average person to the king of pop. We're halfway through our journey into the life and lessons of Michael Jackson. His story is one of incredible highs and devastating lows, filled with complexities that are still debated today. If you're finding this look into the man behind the music valuable, and if it's giving you a new perspective, take a moment to support the channel. Please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future explorations. More importantly, I want to hear from you. Which of these lessons hits closest to home for you so far? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. Now, let's get back to the final 5 lessons from the incredible journey of Michael Jackson. Lesson 6. Mental health challenges are real and deserve compassion. While Michael Jackson's physical changes were constant tabloid fodder, the battles happening inside him were far more complex. Many experts and biographers believe he may have suffered from body dysmorphic disorder, BDD, a mental health condition where a person obsesses over perceived flaws in their appearance. This goes way beyond vanity. It's a source of intense anxiety and distress. Looking at his life through this lens, his many cosmetic procedures might not seem like eccentric whims, but like desperate attempts to silence a relentless inner critic. The trauma of his childhood, especially the verbal abuse from his father, who reportedly made fun of his looks, could easily have planted the seeds for this struggle. This private battle was only made worse by the pressure of living in the public eye, where every change was magnified, judged, and often mocked. On top of that, he dealt with severe anxiety, depression, and the chronic pain from the Pepsi accident, and countless injuries from his physically demanding shows. These weren't separate problems, but a tangled web of physical and psychological pain. His insomnia was legendary, a torturous condition that ultimately led him to seek help from Dr. Conrad Murray and the fatal use of the surgical anesthetic propofol to get some sleep. This leads us to a vital, deeply human lesson. Mental health challenges are real, they are legitimate medical issues, and they deserve compassion and understanding, not stigma and ridicule. Jackson's life is a tragic example of what can happen when these struggles aren't properly addressed or are made worse by outside pressures. He found his therapy in the one place he felt in control, his music. His art was his main outlet for his pain, his anxieties, and his hopes for a better world. His story is a powerful call to destigmatize mental health. Asking for help, whether it's therapy, medication, or creative expression, is a sign of incredible strength, not weakness. Lesson 7. The transformative power of compassion. For all the pain Michael Jackson went through, it seemed to create an equally huge space in his heart for compassion. He was deeply sensitive to the suffering of others, especially children. He once explained this empathy saying, "Being a world traveler, I'm touched and moved by everything that happens, especially to children. It gets me emotionally sick, and I go through a lot of pain when I see that type of pain." This wasn't just a nice thought, it was a core part of who he was, a part that often gets lost in the controversies. He took the pain of his own lost childhood and turned it into a global mission of healing. In 1992, he founded the Heal the World Foundation, named after his famous anthem. This wasn't a vanity project. The foundation's goal was real: to provide medicine for kids and to fight world hunger, child abuse, and homelessness. He donated all the profits from his 69-concert Dangerous World Tour to the foundation, raising millions. The foundation's work had a huge impact and airlifted over 46 tons of supplies, including food and medicine, to war-torn Sarajevo. It worked with former President Jimmy Carter's Atlanta Project to help immunize over 17,000 children and partnered with the Gorbachev Foundation to deliver 60,000 doses of vaccines to the Republic of Georgia. He also co-wrote the 1985 charity mega hit We Are the World with Lionel Richie, which raised more than $63 million for famine relief in Africa. His charity work was so extensive that in 2000, Guinness World Records recognized him for supporting 39 different charities, the most by any pop star. This lesson from his life is maybe his most beautiful. Compassion isn't a passive feeling, it's an active, powerful force. By channeling his own suffering into a desire to help others, Michael found a deep sense of purpose. His life shows that helping others is one of the best ways to heal yourself. Lesson 8. The unwavering importance of self-belief. In the recording studio, Michael Jackson was a general. In rehearsals, he was a perfectionist. He could hear every single note, see every single step, and picture every frame of a music video long before it was made. This visionary drive came from an almost supernatural level of self-belief. He knew that to create something the world had never seen before, you had to believe in it with everything you had. He often talked about the power of the mind and the need to believe in yourself, especially when others doubt you. He said, "You can't do your best when you're doubting yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, who will?" This wasn't just a nice quote for him, it was how he lived. He believed the mind was powerful enough to shape reality, once writing, "I believe we are powerful, but we don't use our minds to full capacity. Your mind is powerful enough to help you attain whatever you want." This unshakable belief in his own vision is what allowed him to break down barriers others didn't even see. It's how he came up with the 14-minute thriller short film when everyone else was making simple music videos. It's how he perfected the impossible anti-gravity lean in Smooth Criminal. This fierce self-belief was his shield against the critics, the doubters, and the pressures of an industry that often prefers to copy rather than create. But there was a flip side. This same drive for perfection was also a source of deep insecurity and a fear of not living up to his own incredibly high standards. So the lesson here is twofold. First, self-belief is the fuel for any great achievement. To do something amazing, you have to be your own biggest fan. But the second part of the lesson is a warning. That powerful belief needs to be balanced with self-compassion. The drive for perfection can be the source of both incredible creation and incredible personal pain. Michael's journey teaches us to believe in ourselves enough to chase our dreams, but also to remember to be kind to ourselves along the way. Lesson 9. The difficult but necessary path of forgiveness. Michael Jackson's life was filled with deep betrayals, both public and private. From a father whose love was tied to performance, to friends who sold stories to the tabloids, to a global public that could turn on him in an instant, he knew the sting of disloyalty all too well. He faced false accusations, public ridicule, and the pain of having his character twisted by people with bad intentions. This constant storm of negativity could easily have made him bitter and closed off, and by all accounts, he did struggle with the pain of these betrayals. And yet, through it all, he consistently spoke about the importance of love and compassion, not as some naive idea, but as a conscious choice. In one of his most revealing quotes, he said, "I always seem to walk with compassion in my heart and publicly spoke of the good in other people, even as detractors threw stones my way." This points to one of the toughest lessons of his journey: the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness, in this sense, isn't about excusing bad behavior or letting people off the hook. It's about making a conscious choice to let go of the poison of anger and resentment for your own sake. It's an act of self-preservation. Holding on to hate is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Michael seemed to understand this on a deep level. While he was undoubtedly hurt, he kept making music about unity, hope, and healing. Songs like Heal the World and Man in the Mirror are not the work of a man consumed by bitterness. They are anthems of hope from a soul that, despite everything, was still fighting for a better world. This lesson here is one of real spiritual maturity. True freedom isn't found in revenge or holding grudges, but in the difficult, brave act of forgiveness. It's about choosing peace for yourself, even when others have brought you war. Lesson 10. Legacy is built on impact, not perfection. In his final years, Michael Jackson was planning the ultimate comeback. The This Is It concert series was set to be a massive 50-show run at the London O2 Arena. There's no question that his grim financial situation was a major reason why. With debts approaching $500 million, the tour was a financial lifeline. But to say it was just about the money would be missing the other half of the story. For Michael, this was also an artistic comeback. It was his chance to get back on stage, connect with his fans again, and remind the world of the magic he could create. Rehearsal footage shows a man who, at 50 years old, was still a master of his craft, completely dialed in and pushing for perfection.
His tragic death, just weeks before the first show, meant that this comeback would never happen. His life was a mix of breathtaking brilliance and deep, undeniable flaws. He wasn't a simple hero or a simple villain. He was a deeply complex and imperfect human being. His story is a powerful argument against the idea that you have to be perfect to make a positive impact on the world. He made mistakes. He faced horrible accusations. He battled demons that would have destroyed most people. But you can't deny the totality of his legacy. He didn't just change pop music, he rewrote the rules. He shattered racial barriers on MTV, turned music videos into an art form, and created a body of work that still moves millions all over the world. His humanitarian work touched countless lives, raising hundreds of millions of dollars for people in need. The final and most lasting lesson from Michael Jackson's journey is this: legacy isn't measured by a lack of flaws, but by the depth of your impact. It's about what you create, who you inspire, and how you use your gifts to leave the world a little different than you found it. His life proves that it's possible to be flawed and still be a force for good, to be wounded and still be a healer.